Whether you are on an adventure or at the downtown cafe, your answers are no more than a sniff away. Dog Training 360's purpose is simple: to teach you why dogs do what they do, as well as the action steps you need to take to have better communication, connection, consistency, and conceivability with your dog. We have been talking about adventures this last go around with our series, and we're going to not really disrupt this series today, but it definitely plays a role in adventures and how things can go south on us on adventures. So this weekend, Josie and her mom have two border collies, and they were up with me and doing some herding stuff. And then after that, they, the dogs were with them, and they had some stops to make. And so what had happened, and Josie's going to give us more of the details, but her mom's dog got attacked by another dog and shredded her ear pretty good. And so we're going to talk about that, because when you're out and about with your dog and people around us are not great about having their dogs under control, it's not even that you shouldn't take aggressive dogs out. It's just being able to have the control and being accountable and responsible for it. And something must have been in the air on Saturday or that just this past weekend, because I got a call from another client that, what's that? Yeah. They have been working very diligently with their dog, who is somewhat people aggressive, and we have a lot of safety features in place for him. And he unfortunately bit somebody this weekend, and the owners completely failed their dog with it. And so to me, if a dog is the aggressor and that dog is able to make connection, whether it's with another dog or with another person, you as the owner have failed that dog miserably, and that you should be accountable and responsible, and that you should never let those safety nets go, no matter what the situation, no matter that there's not anybody around on your adventure, because somebody will always pop into it. So, Josie, let's talk about, just kind of take us through the time and what happened, and then we're all going to talk about it.
Okay. So my mom and I had both of our dogs in the truck, and we parked right outside of the school, and there's a big field, and I didn't know there were any other dogs in the field at all, because it's kind of blocked by trees. Mm-hmm. And we took both of our dogs out on leash, and we were going to let them go to the bathroom, then go straight into the building. We didn't have any intention of doing anything else. And my mom kind of walked ahead of me, and I stayed back with my dog. And I was just not paying attention, letting my dog sniff, like totally relaxed. Nothing was happening. And all of a sudden, two dogs. One was a big dog, and one was a puppy. Mm-hmm. Not a small puppy, a pretty bigger than the dog it attacked. Charged Winnie. Mm-hmm. And Winnie, who had just been hurting, before they even got to her, just did a little like, nya, nya, nya.
Yeah.
Like, get away from me.
Yeah.
She was scared.
She felt the
really
intensity.
Scared because they were charging her. Huh. The people, at this point, I had no idea where the people were. I just saw two dogs coming, and instantly turned into a fight with two dogs against one. And
even the puppy.
What?
Even the puppy was involved.
The puppy was the one that latched and tried to kill her.
Okay.
So my instinct was to get my dog out of the scene, because all I could think of was I can't have another dog involved in this.
Right.
So I ran him back to the truck. Mm-hmm. And then my mom was there, and
it's okay. It's never a fun thing to go through.
And my mom was holding Winnie, and the puppy was latched onto her, and the other dog was in the mix, and I don't know how the other dog was in there.
Yeah.
And I just I turned into a monster.
Yep.
And I just screamed and I yelled and I kicked and I did everything I could to get the big dog away, because that's the dog that I thought was the threat. And so I got that dog away, and I was like, okay, it's fine. And then the other dog had latched onto Winnie's head, and I couldn't see where.
Mm-hmm.
And Winnie had gone completely limp. And I thought that when I was gonna pull this dog off her, that she was gonna be dead.
Yeah.
And I couldn't hear her crying. I couldn't tell anything. And my mom was just holding her, and she had her one hand on Winnie, and the other hand she put her keys in her claws, like you do, like if someone's attacking you.
Yeah.
And she was hitting the dog in the face, trying to get it to let go, and nothing, nothing. And then I was like, okay, I have to pull this dog off of my dead dog. Like,
Yep.
And I was so scared, but I knew from our last class, when I had asked, what do you do when there's a fight? How do you stop a fight? And you had told us to grab the hind legs and pull them off. And I grabbed me and I pulled it off, and it came free.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody knew where the stupid puppy's leash was. And I was trying to find the leash, and the owners had the dog, and they were telling us that it was all our fault because Winnie was aggressive.
Oh.
And leashes are the reason that this happens.
Mm.
And I was so mad.
Yeah.
I've never said so many words like
Yeah.
that in my life.
Yeah.
Like, I don't get mad. I stay calm. Like, that's who I am. I'm calm.
Yep.
I'm not this person that I had to turn into. And these people were telling me that it was my fault for having my dogs on a sidewalk on a leash.
Right.
When their two dogs attacked ours.
Yep.
And so, like, I just couldn't even function. Like, I thought, and Winnie, of course, was fine, because all he got was her ear. So he couldn't, and my mom was holding her enough that he couldn't shake her.
Yeah.
And he was just a puppy, so he probably didn't have, like...
full teeth.
Yeah, his teeth were small. My mom's hand is cut up. But I just, like, if there had been any remorse from the people...
Right.
Or, like there were four people, and me and my mom all involved. One lady owned the big dog, and then two people owned the puppy, and they had only had the puppy for 2 days. We just adopted it. So, and then the fourth person was telling me that it was all my fault because I got mad, and I felt like it was better that I got the big dog. I thought the big dog was gonna kill her.
Yeah.
And so, to end that experience with these people walking away thinking that we were at fault was just like, it just made everything so much worse.
Yep.
And, like, yes, Winnie's fine now, my mom's fine, but, like, to go through that, like, feeling like I thought my mom was in danger,
Yep.
I thought Winnie was dead, and then on top of it, to have the people tell me that my leash dogs were the problem.
Yeah.
It was just out of this world.
Yeah.
Like, and we kept going back because we were out of school and thinking, like, what if we were with my niece and nephew and they had gotten out of the car?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, and what are you going to say, that it's their fault because they're kids?
Yeah.
It was just so horrible.
Yeah.
Sorry to, like...
No. You know what is real about this, Josie, is people don't understand the impact that this has on the owners of the dog. And everybody goes away and nobody knows that this happened Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're 2 days into this and it's still emotional. Dog fights are never just a thing. It's not okay. But people walk away. Absolutely, your dogs are not in the wrong. But the people that have the aggressor tend to blame everybody else because shame on you for pulling up.
Yeah.
Right? Shame on you for running by my dog. Shame on you for having them on a leash. Shame on you for yelling and have emotion. And so, I feel like it's important to talk about this because it's not, the aftermath is real and it's incredibly intense, and it is something you will never forget. And it is something that you will still go back in rage of anger at times. And I will still yell at people when I have to do that. I mean, I had a class at Murray Park one year, and this dog came out of the nowhere and attacked one of the dogs in the class. And yeah, it wasn't nice. I was absolutely not nice. But the other thing that I do, I'm calling animal control, and you need to stay here, or I'll just call the cops, and you need to be here until animal control arrives, because sometimes they don't arrive for like 4 hours. But I would have called the cops. I literally, that's the only thing different that I would have done dealing with the people, is I would have called the cops. Because 1, you have an off-leash dog. 2, you have the aggressor. And that's 2 pretty significant things. And so from handling everything, to me, is pretty much how I would have handled it. But I would have gotten... the only way that you can make an impact is to call authorities to help them understand you guys are not in the wrong. And there's nothing that you can say to convince them otherwise. Shannon, talk a little bit about from the vet side and being at the vet clinic when people come rushing in when their dogs have been attacked, and that emotional side of things, and how people are, they're still in even shock at that point.
Right. A lot of people that I have experienced this with are people that had their dog at a doggy daycare and with other dogs that were aggressive and were just like completely mauled, almost killed,
Yeah.
And they just as we, when we're out walking, think their dog is safe. They think they left their dog at a safe place where someone would take care of it.
Yeah.
And when you're out walking, you think you're safe and you're with your dog and you're going to be fine, right?
Yeah.
And so they, aside from being emotional about the dog being injured and possibly dying, it has an emotional impact on you because you felt that you were safe.
Yeah.
And that's the trauma that continues. And it's really, you have to not be emotionally involved as a staff person.
Sure.
Because you have to stay calm and try to communicate with them what you're going to do for their dog, how the doctor's going to help them, what the outlook is for their health, what their recovery is, and what you are communicating to them they cannot hear. Because they're still caught in the emotion of having the traumatic event. So it takes a long time and a lot of patience to get through to talking to someone about what's going on, because they're totally still in shock when they come into the veterinary office.
Yeah, for sure. Monica, yeah, for sure. So talk about it, Monica. Talk about what's your thoughts and what's your feel, and where's your mind at this point?
Wow, that one for me is hard because it's been years since I've gone through that.
Yeah.
And I think I went through it twice. Because I had a St. Bernard. But both times I was in Italy. The one time I vividly remember a Great Dane charged out of a yard.
Yeah.
Through the gate. And yeah, getting that dog off. I mean,
yeah, hello, bigger than
nothing.
You, both of them.
And
right.
Well, and there, guys came out and stopped too. We were on the street.
Yeah.
And notwithstanding the size of my dog, thank God for the thick skin.
Yeah.
On a St. Bernard and the fur and all that, because the Great Dane actually had him by the neck, and would not. I mean, I think it was like 4 guys were trying to pull him off.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And he wouldn't pull off.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, I thought he was going to end up with piece off of him, and I mean, he was in such a position. Mine was that he couldn't even react.
Sure. Yeah.
But I mean, I lost him 10 years ago, so this was probably 15 or 17 years ago when this happened.
Sure.
But yeah, it's. I mean, the rush of adrenaline and it's literally like being violated.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
It's just like somebody attacking you.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yep.
And then the fact that you end up in such a short time, because it happens so fast and you have no idea what to do, and your brain's trying to engage, and it's trying to fight the adrenaline reaction, which is to react.
Yeah.
But you're trying to figure out, what am I going to do?
Right. Yeah.
Where do I grab? Where?
Yeah.
And besides, it's I think typical to hear not to get involved.
Sure.
Because the aggressor's going to turn around on you.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. There's a potential.
By instinct, so they're just going to turn.
Sure. It's not thinking, oh, human.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a horrible, horrible thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I unfortunately, like in your case, I don't necessarily, think that they just don't care about the effect it has on you. But it's like a narcissist, right? They're not going to stop and think.
Right.
I mean, the easiest thing is to point a finger.
For sure. Yeah. And that's how most people protect themselves.
Yeah.
Is to blame.
Yeah.
And so, and somebody that hasn't experienced it on the other side, or, they're just trying to protect themselves. And so they're
not stopping to think, because, you're thinking, what if I had been with, niece and nephew? Well, in their case too, because what's the likelihood that they don't have kids? Or within the family, and it's like, okay, stop. And this isn't a matter of, it's not even a matter of blame, because it just happened. So try to figure out what. Yeah. Really try to figure out what happened, because somebody else is going to be at risk.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. For sure. Jess, what's your experience with all of this that we've been talking about? Have you experienced a dog fight?
No, I haven't experienced a dog fight. Jordan hasn't experienced a dog fight, but he always tells the story of when he took Torque up for a walk up to the gas station.
Yep.
And it's on a semi-busy road, and this big old Mastiff came across the street, and Jordan's yelling at it to go away, and he put Torque behind him and started kicking at the dog, trying to get the dog to go away. A little girl came out of the house and started yelling for her dog, and Jordan's yelling at him, and eventually, and he did kick the dog, and the dog eventually went away. Yeah. And I've had that instance, I've seen that happen when we're out training our dogs, and somebody's dog is loose out of the yard, and it's trying to play with one of our competition dogs. And and so it got kicked and it rolled down the hill, and it eventually went away after that. So that's kind of all I got, is that we defended our dogs and dogs went away.
It's hard to hear when, you're kicking the dog and you're hitting a dog, and then you're the one that's doing it, is a whole different emotion, right? Yeah. Because, you're taught. Yeah. I mean, you're,
I love dogs. That's the last thing I want to be doing.
Yeah. But I also know, that when adrenaline, even a dog coming into play and you're protecting it, nobody's hauling off and kicking the shit, excuse my language, out of a dog. They're booting the dog away. It's not this vicious thing. Then you get in the dog fight and you're trying to get the energy to match the energy of the dog to get them off. And you don't really think about that. You're not going, I got to be big and I got to scream and I got to punch. But you literally have to do the same energy as what you're trying to do. The hardest part as that initial hit happens is to just let it happen and then take the steps to getting the dog off, because it doesn't come natural until you experience it. It just doesn't. And then sometimes if you have a Great Dane, I don't know that I could pick a Great Dane up big enough to get its head tilted correctly to get it off, so.
But what do you do after? That's
right. You hold on and keep turning in circles until somebody, right.
If you're by yourself.
Yeah.
And then maybe your dog at that point gets the strength to react. Yeah. I mean, if you let your mind go there, it's like,
for sure. Yep. Yeah. It's a very traumatic experience, and it's not a fun experience at all, and the emotions are real. I've been in a situation where a dog has killed another dog. I have been in a situation where breaking up a dog fight by yourself, half hour later, they're exhausted and finally let go because you can't. And it's that fierce. And so as you go through that emotion, you need to go through it. Josie, you need to accept that you're going to get angry and you're going to cry and you're going to blame yourself for things that you could have done. But at the end of the day, it's one, Winnie's not dead. You did everything that you knew, and you also did everything that your body instinctually needed to do. And there's nothing that could have been done differently. And it's okay to yell at people. It's okay to be in that rage because it's like you being attacked. And there's nothing wrong with feeling that. I mean, I'm sure, Monica, you can still remember those emotions as you're watching this whole thing come down and everybody's trying to get these big dogs apart or the big dog off of another big dog. That emotion doesn't ever go away.
And I'm grateful that, honestly, I'm grateful that it happened. Grateful because, nothing happened to my dog. But I'm grateful that it happened. It's an experience that you need to go through because one day it's going to happen when you can't put a blame on a person. Like in this case, they should have had their dogs on the leash. Okay. But there are times when when a dog is just going to come at you because they get out of a yard.
Yeah.
Or they somehow get away from the owner, even if they do have them on a leash.
Yep.
So it's a good, it's a good experience. I'm going to be grateful that it happened and that it didn't go.
Yeah.
Didn't go bad.
Yep. You believe from a trainer's standpoint, you've experienced it. My two girls, my Shepherd and Chow, we had a good half-hour fight, and it was just two bitches going, and it wasn't gonna stop. I was not home. I was on the phone with the person that was here as I'm talking her through. Just let it go. Just let it go.
It's easier to do that.
Yeah. I could talk her through, okay, I want you to do this. Okay, here's where my board's at. But, I don't know, this young girl was 16 at the time.
Yeah, that one's...
A Shepherd and a Chow. And so, and she's sobbing through. It's fierce. It's not fun to see. But after it was all said and done, we had got home. We had puncture wounds. Nobody died. She didn't get bit. And we sat down and we talked through it. And, she's grateful that she experienced it because of her goals and what she wants to do with her life. But it's real, and it's not a fun experience to go through. But you did everything you should do. And Jess, your time is coming.
Actually, sitting here, I've been remembering things. So I've had Zuri and Nikita get into a fight in the backyard.
Yeah.
Those were something that were constant when Zuri was young because Nikita was like the fun police.
Yep.
Stop doing that.
Yep.
And Zuri's this very strong dog that I will do what I want.
Yeah.
And I was leading my horse out to the back, and my son's like, they're fighting. And it's like, you can't put a horse into the mix of it.
Right,
So
exactly.
took him, put him away, and came back, and they were done. So it only lasted like a few minutes.
Yeah.
But,
yeah.
Nikita had a little bit of blood on her, but it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just, I don't know, their thing.
Yeah.
And they moved on from it eventually. Just as they grow, like as she grew up and they kind of found their place.
Mm-hmm. Now Zuri's the fun police.
Yeah, now Zuri is the fun police. It's actually quite funny. It's weird to see her that way now. And then when I was training my own dog, so once again, Torque, we're back to Torque again. Torque, my troublemaker.
Yep.
When we went to Tanner Park.
Yep.
And we let him off leash, he went straight for, I don't remember what dog it was. It was an older, terrier-ish looking thing.
Yep.
But I remember that happening, and it's just, I don't remember a whole lot of the feelings because it happened so long ago. But I know from the standpoint of being the owner that your dog is causing it. It's a horrible feeling.
Yeah.
Like, I am so sorry. Like, I'm the one who's apologizing, and it's not a fun thing. And he was never really let off leash.
Right.
So, because of that.
Yeah. So taking this to the next step of, okay, dog trainers, you have a client that has sociably challenged things happening. And we really want to go to Tanner Park. So Tanner Park here in Utah is this hike for dogs. And it's just an alley. I mean, it's 45 minutes round trip if you're just kind of going. And I don't know, at any one given time, you're going to run into 20 dogs. And so it's a dog parkish hike thing. And then you have a client that says, but that's where we really like to go. And we want to take our dog. And you're like, okay, all the training pieces into play. We have a muzzle on the dog, but what if the dog triggers another dog and then this dog can't defend himself? We're responsible for protecting. We can't be mad at that other person if this dog triggers because we know that they're the aggressor. And so where your mind goes as a dog trainer is, how am I going to tell these people this isn't going to happen because I'm not feeling it? No matter how good of training, it's still there.
Beg them, please.
All right, let's do something else. So it's challenging from a trainer's standpoint when you feel like you're there, but you can't ever be 100%, especially when you're dealing with some level of aggression, where the dog is actually charging and going after.
Well, you never know. There's always going to be that residual instinct in there.
Yeah.
No matter how well the dog is trained.
Yep. Yeah.
So it doesn't take much for you to get distracted and not notice that there's another
For
dog
sure.
that's triggering.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. It's stressful from a dog trainer's point. And Josie, there was, I've been through it enough that there definitely is times that I'm just like, it's like you can go find another trainer to do with. But I have seen other trainers in dog park situations where the dog's on the muzzle being the aggressor and everybody else just feels like they have to defend themselves because they don't know that muzzle's they're not going to get bit. And then you're breaking up, and then the dog with muzzle on
and what kind
gets hurt.
And what kind of muzzle?
Sure.
Because if they have the wrong one,
Yeah.
we had a rot that just popped it off
For sure.
in the blink of an eye,
Yeah.
and there went the hand.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
And so it is something that you will take with you. It is something that you'll be very passionate about people having their dogs on leash, talking about the responsibility of having an aggressive dog. And what you went through is something that you will share with people of, this is what I went through. And nobody deserves to go through that because we can't be responsible for our dogs. Period.
And flip it.
Absolutely.
I've been out a few times. I obviously don't give, we all know that Sam's got aggression issues.
Mm-hmm.
And in fact, twice, I should correct myself because, it happened with Zeus, but he and Caesar went at it twice after I adopted them.
Mm-hmm.
They're inherited.
Yeah.
But I've been out on walks with Sam just last year, and I think twice in the neighborhood, two, if not three times. I've got him on a leash.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've got him on my side, and two or three times I've had dogs come out.
Yeah.
Not charging to attack him,
right.
but friendly dogs wanting to play, coming out of the yard, and I'm like, oh, no. No, he's just doing so good. Let's just not play that, let's not. Oh.
Yeah.
And I'll be, then I get looked at or judged because, but he's friendly. He's just, yeah, really?
Right.
Okay.
Right, yeah.
But this isn't just your dog.
Yeah.
No.
Yep. Yeah. It's a really hard concept for people to understand and be accountable that dogs don't need to be running off leash all the time. There's a time and a place for it. Absolutely. But if you have a dog that is reactive, charging, prey drive, stalking, barking, there's just a level that you have to accept that you can't be in those social situations. And you fail your dog if you do. And that's what kills me so bad is dogs are going to be dogs and things are going to happen. But we're the owner. We're the human being. We're the one that has the thought process, right?
I don't know. I was actually just going to say, it should be easier for people to understand because take yourself into account when you're stuck in traffic.
Right. Right, yeah.
So just imagine what a dog, can do and can't tell you.
Yes.
They're just going to react just like you do.
Yeah. And
you can't control yourself sometimes. So
right.
It shouldn't be that hard to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It makes me angry and it makes me sad for the dog on both ends. It makes me sad for the owners on both ends. But be responsible. Don't fail your dog. Yes, there's times that we're going to be out with the aggressive dog walking on a leash and we're going to get charged by a dog. It happens every day. But you have to put the right safety measures in place. And off leash is not a safety measure at all. If you want your dog to be able to run and be open and be social and be free, then you need to train first before you when you adopt a dog and you've only had it for 2 days and you don't even know that dog doesn't even have connection to you and you're letting it off leash just to do its thing is failing that dog that you adopted. And it happened once, it's going to happen again, or it's already happened. And that's why the people are being so defensive about it. And so what makes me sad is most likely that dog's either going to end up euthanized or back in wherever they got it from.
Or somebody's going to get some serious damage.
Yep. Puppy doing that is pretty scary. That's pretty scary.
They said it was 4 or 5 months old the last time.
Man. Yeah. So as Shannon, do you have anything more to add into it?
I think don't be afraid, like when you're out, the other dogs are going to come out and attack you.
Right.
But you have to watch.
Mm-hmm.
Always when you're out walking, be vigilant and watch for those other dogs that are maybe, out in the yard and you can see ahead and then you can walk a different way,
right.
to be the advocate for your dog, to not put your dog in a situation that could go either way.
Yeah.
You have a responsibility to try the best to keep your dog safe that you can. That being said, I've been caught off guard a lot of times running out, to get me.
Yep.
So you can't 100%, keep your dog safe all the time.
Right.
But try.
Yeah.
And be safe about it. And if you have a dog that is an aggressive dog, you have to have responsibility.
Yeah.
And if your dog attacks another person or another dog, then you have to be responsible for it and not try to blame, because your dog, you live with it every day, and you know full well that has the potential to do that.
Yep.
So instead of saying, well, that was your fault for riding a bicycle by my house,
right?
Take responsibility.
Yeah. Yep. For sure. So as we continue our podcasting with adventures, it is something that when you do take your dog out on adventures and you don't know necessarily the territory that you're in or the area that you're in, you always kind of have to be a little bit prepared. Even when I take mine down to Tori, and there's 4 or 5 dogs on the ranch, and I let mine out and everybody's all cool and everybody says hello, and then all of a sudden this crabby old lady comes out and she just whips Patsy's ass, and I was just like, blah, where did she come? And they're like, oh, she hides in the stall until somebody new comes. Like, would have been nice to know, guys. It would have been nice to know. But she there's no latching on, and it was just this, like, remember, I'm the queen bee of the ranch, so everybody stay out of my barn. And the girls did, and cute little Caroline's like, "Wow, that's really scary," and I'm not going in there because she just kind of slowly lingers back into the barn and into her stall. It's like, oh my gosh, but it's a bit more intense when you're going places that you don't know or that you don't expect it to happen. I mean, you pull up and you don't see anything, and and all of a sudden you're out and there it is. So it is definitely, as you are adventuring with your dog, to just be aware that there's things that for sure can happen without you even being prepared for. So, be responsible. If you have an aggressive dog, work with a trainer, but be responsible that you're supposed to be using. And don't place blame.